Rumors have it that some of the fastest cars in the world were suddenly stopped from racing at the famous Nürburgring track. And did you know Koenigsegg was one of them? But why did Koenigsegg stop racing at the Nürburgring? Is it because their cars are too fast and risky for the track, or is there another reason? Watch the video till the end as we'll delve into the history and facts surrounding the Koenigsegg Nrburgring ban and debunk some myths and rumors surrounding this topic. Koenigsegg, a Swedish car company, began in 1994 when Christian von Koenigsegg had a dream to make top-notch sports cars. After years of hard work, they launched their first street-legal car, the CC8S, in 2002. Christian's passion for cars started when he watched a movie called The Pinchcliffe Grand Prix as a kid. He managed to gather enough money from investors to start Koenigsegg Automotive when he was just 22 years old. Unlike many car companies, Koenigsegg makes most of the parts for their cars themselves. This includes engines and transmissions, which is unusual for a small company. In 2019, Koenigsegg sold a part of its company to another Swedish company called Nevs for $171 million. This helped them grow even more. Their first car, the CC, was designed by Christian and then turned into an actual model by an industrial designer named David Crayford. They faced some challenges in finding the right engine, but eventually they started making their engines from scratch. Today, Koenigsegg is known for making some of the fastest and most advanced cars in the world. Koenigsegg's journey at the Nürburgring has been quite a ride. For years, they've been chasing after lap time supremacy at this iconic circuit. It's been an eventful journey, from having their lap record attempts canceled at the last minute to experiencing high-speed crashes. However, their goal of dominating lap times at the Nürburgring has remained elusive. Let's take a drive back to October 2005, when the Koenigsegg CCR, with its 597 kilowatts, 800 plus horsepower, made a bold move. Without official testing from Koenigsegg themselves, journalists put the CCR to the test. Sport Auto's Horst von Sauerma set an impressive lap time of 7 minutes and 34 seconds. Modern cars like the Audi RS3 and BMW M4 competition were even faster, clocking in 6 seconds quicker. In August 2008, the Koenigsegg CCX made waves at the Nürburgring. With 806 horsepower from the Koenigsegg V8 engine and 920 Newton-meters of torque, it reached speeds exceeding 394 kilometers per hour and could accelerate from 0 to 300 kilometers in 29.2 seconds. Mark Bassing set a lap time of 7 minutes and 33 seconds with this beast. In 2010, Koenigsegg showed off a new car called the Agera at a car show in Geneva. It's powered by a big 5.0-liter V8 engine made by Koenigsegg, with special turbochargers that can change shape for more power. It's got a huge 706 kilowatts, 960 horsepower, and a special 7-speed gearbox. The Agera looks like other Koenigsegg cars, but has some new stuff too. It's got a wider front track for better balance, a fancy new interior, and cool lighting that only shows up when you need it. After making Ageras for 8 years, they stopped in July 2018. They made 3 special last cars for lucky buyers. Fast forward to March 2014, and Koenigsegg introduced the 1-1, a car with an unmatched power-to-weight ratio. With 1,360 horsepower and 1,360 kilograms, it earned its name from its remarkable 1 horsepower per kilogram ratio. It boasted a 5-liter V8 engine with an 8,250 RPM limit and a paddle-shifting 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. Accelerating to 400 kilometers per hour took 20 seconds, while decelerating to 0 took just 10 seconds. Despite facing challenges, Koenigsegg keeps trying to be great at the Nürburgring. They want to set records and be the best. It looked like they were going to succeed. Christian von Koenigsegg even talked about setting a lap record there.
At least from our perspective, it makes a very big difference if you have a properly homologated road car with emission testing, crash testing, smart airbags, all of these things, because we spend 80% of our time on those homologation issues, 20% to develop the performance of the car in comparison. So, for example, when Bugatti did this 300 Plus, it's a rough prototype that is modified, and the real version is much slower. Some of these American so-called production cars, they're not homologated at all, so they can just focus on speed. So to us, it's important to point out at least that to have a fair game, it should be apples to apples.
But things changed after a terrible crash in March 2015 during a racing event. During a VLN race, driver Jens Martin Borro was involved in an accident, leading to a pivotal transformation for Koenigsegg's plans. In a tragic incident at the Nürburgring, a Nissan GTR went airborne over the track's jump at Quiddelbacher Höhe. This resulted in the loss of a spectator's life, prompting track management to take swift action. They implemented a speed limit at Flugplatz, the section where the accident occurred. Even after facing a setback a few months ago, Koenigsegg was still determined to set an official lap record with the 1-1. They were ready to make history with their hypercar. A documentary titled Apex: The Story of the Hypercar, spanning over 3 years, captured Koenigsegg's quest to redefine the hypercar landscape with the 1-1. The film crew was fully prepared to embark on their journey to Germany to document this monumental record attempt. At that time, the leading production car lap record was held by the radical SR8 LM with a time of 6 minutes and 48 seconds, closely followed by the Porsche 918 Spyder at 6 minutes and 57 seconds. Koenigsegg simulations indicated that breaking the overall lap record was well within their reach. The crash reminded everyone how dangerous the Nordschleife track can be. It's a tough track where you need to be fast and precise. In the Apex movie, Koenigsegg wanted to reach a big goal. But sadly, there was another crash at the Nürburgring. This time, speed limits were put in place because of the crash. After a bad crash a few months earlier, the Nürburgring bosses decided to slow things down. They put speed limits on different parts of the track. At first, they said you couldn't go faster than 249.4 kilometers per hour on the Dottinger Höhe Straight. Then they made it 199.6 kilometers per hour at corners like Antoniusbüsche, Quiddelbacher Höhe, and Schwalbenschwanz. This was a big blow for Koenigsegg. They were disappointed because the 1-1 could go really fast in those sections. For example, in the Tiergarten section, where they thought the 1-1 could hit 299.3 kilometers per hour, they could only go 199.6 kilometers per hour now. While setting lap times at the Nürburgring wasn't officially banned, the speed limits imposed made it impossible. These limits affected all car manufacturers, including Koenigsegg, preventing them from fully showcasing their hypercar's capabilities. However, there was a surprising turn. Lamborghini managed to run their new Aventador SV and achieve a lap time of under 7 minutes just before the latest restrictions were enforced. This raised questions about the fairness of the restrictions, especially considering that other racing events like WTCC were allowed to disregard speed limits. As a result of the speed limits being lifted and additional safety measures being put in place, the filmmakers of Apex had to come up with a new ending for their movie. This happened in March 2016. This allowed Koenigsegg to get back into action at the Nürburgring by June 2016 for their lap record attempt. They were all geared up to set their lap record with the Koenigsegg 1-1. The team spent several days practicing, testing, and fine-tuning the car to meet the demands of the Nürburgring. However, since this car was still legal for the road, they had to keep all adjustments within standard limits. After extensive testing, they began their first attempt at setting the lap record. But disaster struck about 1/3 of the way into the lap. As the driver exited the foxhole and applied the brakes, something went wrong. Despite the car having ABS, anti-lock braking system, the front wheels suddenly locked up while the car was going fast. This caused the car to crash into the barriers at a high speed. Luckily, the driver came out of the crash without any injuries. However, the hypercar, which had 1341 horsepower, was wrecked. A photographer at the scene said the driver was going too fast into the section, then suddenly hitting the brakes, causing the car to slide off the track. The car smashed through a barrier and ended up in an embankment. The long skid mark left behind suggested there might have been a mechanical issue, possibly related to the ABS. This wasn't the first time Koenigsegg faced trouble at the Nürburgring. In 2014, one of their Agera-based prototypes also had an accident there. However, the 1-1 was a much rarer and far more expensive car. Only 7 were ever made, including a prototype. It was estimated to cost around $3.1 million, making it likely the most costly non-motorsport car to crash at the Nürburgring. Out of all 7 1-1s ever made, it was believed that they were privately owned. The last car, which was a prototype, was sold the year before. The good news is that Koenigsegg will restore the damaged car. Despite the setback, the promise of the Jesco remains unchanged. The Jesco, unveiled by Koenigsegg in March 2019, was limited to just 125 units and came with a hefty price tag of $3 million. The Jesco uses an improved version of the 5.0-liter V8 engine from the Agera. It can produce 1,281 horsepower on regular gas and a massive 1,603 horsepower on E85 biofuel. It also has a lot of torque, which helps it accelerate quickly. Its engine is paired with a 9-speed transmission called the Light Speed Transmission, LST. This transmission can shift gears very quickly, making the car even faster. You can get the Jesco in 2 versions. One for high-speed racing with lots of downforce, and one for going fast in a straight line with less drag. On March 3, 2020, Koenigsegg revealed the Gemera in an online event. It's their first 4-seater car and will hit the market in end 2024. Only 300 of these cars will be made. The Gemera runs on a special engine called the Koenigsegg TFG, Tiny Friendly Giant. Plus, it has unique doors called Katzad that open in a special way, making it even cooler. Inspired by his ambitious plans, Christian von Koenigsegg suggested a return to the Nürburgring to set a new lap record. So, is Koenigsegg banned from the Nürburgring? Not exactly. While they faced speed limitations that made record attempts impractical, they're now gearing up for a spectacular comeback. Koenigsegg's pursuit of the Nürburgring crown continues, with the Mercedes-AMG 1 recently setting a record of 6 minutes and 35 seconds. For these Swedish speed enthusiasts, it's not a question of if they'll win the Nürburgring fastest lap time, but when. Share your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.